Hi, my name is Alia Dietsch, and I'm a faculty member here in the School of Environment and Natural Resources at Ohio State University. So I'll be presenting a project called America's Wildlife Values that has been conducted in collaboration with colleagues of mine at Colorado State University. So our work focuses on the social and ecological changes that occur in our society. Similar to the current pandemic, right? These social and ecological changes affect how we think and behave in relation to others, including wild animals. And today I'll focus specifically on this idea of modernization, or large-scale societal change. And so this is considered by scholars as societal level progress, as more people live in urban areas where opportunities to attain higher levels of income and education exist. And these conditions of modernization also change our social life. They change how we move about the landscape, they change where we get our food. They also change how we learn about what's appropriate relationships with wild animals, and these shape our values. So these values are these core weighty beliefs that we hold dear, and we do our best to apply to different cognitive lanes, if you will. And so we do our best to align our values with our behaviors, but we're not always perfect at this game. Values can also be thought of as the cultural waters in which we swim. So values are deeply immersive and all-encompassing. They have evolutionary advantage in that they help us to stay afloat in a complex society. So imagine being at a restaurant with friends. You don't start out yelling at your friends, right? But you do adapt to the conditions around you. And as others get louder, you might also start to get louder and louder as well. So similarly, value change across time and space is a form of adaptation. And today I'll focus on two different value orientations, domination and mutualism. So domination prioritizes human interests and also use of wildlife as appropriate. And mutualism is characterized by social affiliation and care of wild animals. However, care, such as putting a baby bison in the back of your car, does not always lead to positive outcomes for wild animals. So why do these distinctions in value orientation specifically matter? Our work suggests that modernization is leading to an increase in the mutualism value orientation and a decrease in the domination value orientation. However, domination is still widespread within our society in the US. So our work shows that values predict an array of different behaviors as well as different beliefs about how we think managing authorities should manage wild animals, including whether we think lethal control of wild animals is an acceptable management action. Values also influence how we choose to interact with wildlife, whether we deem those interactions as conflict or not, and how we want managing authorities to address those conflicts that do occur. And these different scenarios can lead to different sources of social conflict among groups of people. For example, you may have people who love wolves, and you may have people that prioritize a species that wolves eat. So in this context, these different beliefs about how wildlife should be managed may result in social conflict. And scholars suggest that as we see a rise in mutualism, that there will be more interest in having collaborative processes where people get invited to the proverbial table, if you will. And we do see that happening. We also expect that with this rise of mutualism, scholars have suggested that there will be a falling out of public trust in governing authorities. And specifically in our work, we do find that there is this erosion of trust associated with the diversifying of values within states. And I do want to be clear here that I'm not at the time of our research talking about distrust, but just an erosion of high levels of trust. And we do see that as trust declines, it's associated with domination. And we believe that this value orientation was traditionally associated with the balance of power, a balance in their particular favor, and that this balance of power has shifted over time as agencies adapt. And so thus, we will have to balance these seemingly competing interests of different groups of people with new tools. So this balancing act won't always be perfect, but fundamentally at our core, these different groups of people are connected to fish and wildlife through wildlife-dependent recreation. And we can't just sit back and watch societal change occur. We need to be actively engaged in efforts to understand what the societal change is and how that's shaping human-animal interactions going forward. So certainly how society chooses to share the road ahead with wild animals will look different than it has in the past, necessitating strong partnerships between managing authorities, different groups from the public representing their interests, and groups like CHAIRE. So thank you for your attention, and I hope you share comments that you may have about this presentation with me. Thank you very much.